want to say thank you to Sarah and to everybody with the Eleanor Roosevelt Foundation for allowing me to come here. This is pretty much, I think, the second time that I've had like a touch point with the foundation. And my name is Kelly Cutrone, and I am the CEO of a public relations, marketing, branding, and fashion show production company called People's Revolution. We have offices in New York, LA, and Paris. You know, my story, I could talk about a lot, obviously, because I'm 45 and I've done a lot, but I think for this group, I think one of the most important parts of my story is that I come from like the middle of nowhere. I come from a really small town in outside, like Syracuse, New York is the biggest city near where I'm from. So things like cow tipping in the Hardee's parking lot, you know, at 8 o'clock, or just trying to sit and make out with some guy on the town hall steps when no one's driving through the middle of town, which takes about 2 minutes. Are basically the sports, you know, what young people did where I lived. I came from a really, I'd say middle class, not by the terms of like Westchester. I think my parents probably made maybe combined income about $60,000 a year. We lived in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom and had a pretty nice life, you know. I mean, there were times that I guess it would be like questionably dysfunctional, but for the most part, my parents did the best with what they had, and we always had clothes and food, and you know, we'd get like one local family trip somewhere, you know, but like things like going to Europe or doing yoga or meditating. I mean, these were things that in a Republican family we just were not okay, and they also didn't have the means, so it was a pretty insulated upbringing. And also the people that were around me didn't really have the tools to recognize my talents, and really had no knowledge to offer me about how to help me from my career just because they didn't know. And so like the biggest wish that my parents could have had for me was that I should become a nurse. And because in their mind, nursing is an amazing profession, and you're never without a job, and there's always going to be sick people, and you can live wherever you want. So this was like, but meanwhile what was happening, I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I decided like I wanted to break the Guinness World Book of Records for swinging. And said that I was going to take my brother, my sister, and the next door neighbor, and we were going to go down to the schoolyard and we would break the Guinness World Book of Records for swinging. And unfortunately, nobody took me seriously, but I meant business. And I think it was probably about 9. And so we went about 5 hours, and then our parents started looking for us, and we were down there swinging, and they were like, "Come on, you have to get off. It's time to go. You know, you need to eat dinner." And we're like, "There is no dinner. Like, bring the hamburgers and we'll swing up and you feed us." And I'm like, call the papers, like, we need to get in the paper. And I basically was doing PR, like, at that point. And we did swing 20 hours, which was pretty amazing. And by the time we did like 7 or 8 hours, like, there was nothing else going on in town. So we had about 100 people, give or take, over the next following 12 hours that would come down and bring us food, or like light some candles, or bring some mosquito repellent, or you know, whatever. So from there, MTV, we didn't have cable television, and when I was growing up, I pretty much spent my whole life not really feeling represented where I was. Like, my whole life was like up to a certain point just constantly kind of posing, because like in the morning I'd hang out with like maybe some of the more punky kids on the bus stop, and then I would, you know, be in honor society because I was pretty smart, and then I'd play field hockey, and then I'd hang out with like the poetry music kids, but I was never any of those things in my community, and I didn't really feel connected. And there weren't times like in that community that I was like, yes, like this is my tribe. And so the first time that I ever felt like I had a portal into like a tribe is like a really big part of my vocabulary, and I kind of believe that we live in these mononuclear families, and they're becoming more and more dysfunctional, and we don't get enough role modeling. When we see like an overworked mom and dad and like a bratty brother or sister, it's kind of limiting as to when you used to be able to live in a village and be able to say like, okay, this is my tribe, and you know, I like her physical body, I love her mind, I love her kindness, I love her spirit, I don't like his rudeness, and being able to just assimilate what you want from that like broad spectrum of role modeling. So when MTV, we didn't have cable television. It was a long, long time ago, okay? It was like, I don't know when it was. When was it? 1979 or 80, I write about it in my book. But we never had cable TV, and that was the first time that I saw MTV, and MTV came on. And the first video ever played on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star, and by a band called The Buggles. And I saw it, and I was just like, holy cow, like, that's where I want to go. Like, that is where I need to be.